could actually get you to the end of the program. You would hate to start a program, and I'm actually working with a student who this is happening to right now. She started a program, and now that she's a year into it, there's nobody in her program that actually works on what she wants to do. And so nobody wants to take her on as an advisee. And we're looking outside of her program to find her an advisor. But it's easier if there's an advisor within your program, because if I'm funding you for 3.5, 4 years, I need you to be working on something that I understand. It doesn't help you to
Yeah,
work with me, and I don't understand what you want to do.
yeah,
I can't help
that's
you.
yeah, that's true. So, in terms of, I know you've mentioned some aspects of the personal statement, but if you're reading a personal statement, what are some of the key elements that you are looking for in an applicant's personal statement?
Again, it needs to tell a story. So, not just why you want a PhD, but what about your previous experiences led you to the decision that you need a PhD? And what have you done that has prepared you for doing a PhD program? Because it's not an easy process. And nobody wants to be the person who wears you down. So it's important to tell about how you've grown, what experiences you've had, whether that be some, not necessarily hardships, but any difficulties that have built you up and matured you to the point that you are ready for a PhD program. Sometimes people can convey that well in a personal statement. We've had some people who had maybe personal statements that weren't as strong, and they got an interview anyway. And then during that interview, if we figure out that you're not quite mature, it'll stick out at that point. But it's easier if you can convey your thought process. How did you get where you are, and why did you make this decision in your personal statement?
So, how about recommendation letters? I know, like for sure, you want someone who is very enthusiastic about your journey. But apart from that, what other elements would you say are key for applicants to know when selecting their recommenders?
I think a lot of students assume that it has to be somebody from the school. It can be somebody that you've worked with. It can be your boss from your previous job, as long as that job is within public health. Like, we don't want a letter from your boss from TGI Fridays. That's not going to help you. But a boss at a nonprofit or a consulting firm that you worked at previously, that's an acceptable letter of recommendation. You also want it to be from somebody that you've actually worked with. Teach a class that has 270 students in it, and I get requests for letters of recommendation from students, and I'm thinking, I might remember your face out of 270 people, but we definitely didn't work closely enough for me to provide a recommendation letter. And your ability to answer questions in class does not suggest that I should write a recommendation letter for you. What can I say in the recommendation letter? They made an A. It's just going to be one of those very, and this is consistent throughout the institution. I've heard people, when I say, I don't know this student, what should I write? They say, you just write facts. This student was in my class. They made an A. They responded to questions. They helped other students. They might do okay in your program. There's a difference between that and, I remember when I met this student 2 years
Yeah.
ago. They
Uh-huh.
picked up the material so easily. They're brilliant, and it's apparent that they'll do excellent in your program. That's different.
Yeah.
So you want to ask somebody who can adequately convey that you are a good candidate. I think also a lot of students just look for folks with big names, and
Yeah.
oftentimes those big names don't have time to write you a good recommendation letter. Now, even if that big name was, say, your actual advisor, but you spent most of your time working with their postdoctoral fellow, it would be a good idea to get a letter from that person, but you might want to draft it yourself. So if they don't have time to write you a recommendation letter, you can draft the letter for them.